Well, good morning. This morning we read Acts chapter 22, verse 22 through to chapter 23 and verse 11. In this passage, Paul was speaking to the crowd. He gave his testimony, and the crowd had listened patiently until he said that God had called him to go to the Gentiles, to take the message to the Gentiles. Then they raised their voices and shouted, "Rid the earth of him, he's not fit to live." The Jewish people here misunderstood their calling. Their calling was to be a light to the nations, to draw other people to the worship of Yahweh, to the worship of God. Instead, they thought that the blessings of God were privileges just for them. The church also must be careful that we don't follow the same thinking and think that the blessings of God are for us and those of us who are called, those of us who have been the chosen. These are the blessings of God for us. God has called us to be a light to the nations, to be a witness to others. Let's make sure that we are being welcoming and calling other people in. Then the centurion took Paul away quickly, but arranged to have him flogged. When Paul used the law, he said, "You know, I'm a Roman citizen. It's not lawful to flog a Roman citizen who hasn't received a fair trial." You could flog non-citizens, people of the occupied nations, but you couldn't flog a Roman citizen. Paul used the law to protect him. There is nothing wrong with us in a free society like Britain using the law to further the gospel. That we can't, as long as we're not causing a breach of the peace or deliberately being offensive, we have the freedom in this nation to stand and to declare the gospel in the open air. And we should not be afraid to do that and to use the rights and privileges the law gives us. And then Paul, taken before the Sanhedrin, causes a split in the Sanhedrin. He stands up and says, "I am here because I hope for the resurrection of the dead." And the Pharisees and Sadducees began to argue among themselves. Here Paul looked for a wise intervention. He looked for allies, people who didn't necessarily agree with him, but would ally themselves with him. In many cases, the church can look for allies, people of goodwill, who we can ally ourselves with in order to further the good works of the gospel. I trust the Lord will bless you today as you go about your business. Go in boldness, go in confidence, and share the gospel with all. Look for allies, use the law, use the freedoms that we have, and the Lord bless you. Amen.